Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Andy Walker, welcome back to the Missing Links Golf Show. We're certainly racking up the episodes at this point in time. It's great to get back on the microphones. After a fantastic episode, last episode, listening to Jason Butt and all his stories about wedge fittings, that's been fun to relive. Certainly that day out there smacking wedges around with a TrackMan and Pro V1s and all sorts of bounces and grinds, and oh, what a morning that was.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to going through that process with Jason again. The driver fairway and utility iron fitting for me was one of a really great experience. So yeah, really looking forward to then doing the irons and the wedges. I think that's going to be that may be the thing that tips my game over to the next level.
Could be. I tell you what, when you get the opportunity to do it, it literally will feel like all your birthdays have come at once. Speaking of which, Andy Walker, significant milestone, or significant day at least, just yesterday. Happy birthday,
Yes.
buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Another lap around the sun.
Yeah.
52.
52. Wow, you well and truly qualify for the seniors events these days, don't you?
Well, not the Australian senior events yet, and that's what we're working towards. So I've still got another 3 years. This time in 3 years, I'll be able to start playing in the Australian senior events, which I'm very much looking forward to. But certainly well in contention for the New South Wales seniors. So yeah, looking forward to again getting back into those. I probably won't play in any more this year, but yeah, there'll be a reasonably big focus next year on playing senior events, and shall be joined by your good self, Mr. Hinks.
We can only hope. That is exciting. But it's not just the build up to senior events that we're here to talk about tonight. A bit of a theme for the show, of course, is the build up to an enormous tournament that we will be competing in the back end of this week, where, what are we, 4 or 5 days out from round one of the New South Wales Country Championships. Andy Walker, that is exciting.
Yes. Your debut New South Wales Championship. It's been a long time since I've played in one. I did play in a few back in my younger days, lots of New South Wales Amateur Championships, and played in a few New South Wales Country Championships, played in a New South Wales Open as well.
Wow.
At Manly Golf Club.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Nice track.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, this definitely first for me. Haven't played in any New South Wales level golf tournaments. Did a bit of it in cricket playing days back in the day with state tournaments, and even pulled on a baggy blue at one point for under 18 level.
Nice.
That was exciting. So it's a little bit different on the golfing front. I don't have 10 other teammates to hide behind.
No, you definitely do not.
So that is going to be interesting. But anyway, we will talk more about that as the episode unpacks. But we've got a lot to get through in this episode. Andy Walker, and probably a good place to start is, as per usual, with the voice of the Pilgrims. There's been a few voices out there. One that I've been sitting on for just a little while, just because we've had so many guests and so much other news to talk about. But we had an email from friend of the show, Mick Patterson. Mick, you would recall, came on to tell us all about his experiences at the Ontario Mid-Am that he played in, and had some unfortunate health concerns as he took to the first tee. But good on you, Mick, for getting through that. Anyway, Mick writes to us to let us know that he and his good mate, and I'm pretty sure it was his mate that was caddying for him in that event, that they played as a pair in the Ontario Better Bowl Championships.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Which was good. The good news is, Andy Walker, no health concerns for either of them during this competition.
So does that mean that golf was better?
Well, hard to know if it was necessarily better. I feel like it was probably on of a similar level, unfortunately.
Mm.
He says, the good news is that I was feeling healthy for this tournament. The bad news was my golf game went on holidays.
It's not ideal.
He says they finished at +5. The winners finished at -6.
Mm.
There are only 55 teams in the field, so they felt very fortunate to have qualified. And having qualified for 2 provincial level championships this year, I think that's a fantastic achievement, to be
Oh,
perfectly
for
honest.
sure. Yeah, yeah. And any time that you actually go through a qualifying process and come out the other end
Yeah.
and actually qualify, I think that's got to be an achievement
Mm.
to be celebrated.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Apparently, the course that they played at Oakdale was a recent host of the Canadian Open as well.
All right.
So
Okay.
good track that they
Nice.
got to run around on.
Mm.
But well done, Mick. Congratulations. We're a huge fan of your work. Thank you so much for keeping us in the loop about how things are progressing. And look, I'll tell you, +5, still, it's not a bad result, to be perfectly
That's
honest.
decent. It's decent.
That's okay in 2-man. So there you go. That's the update from Mick. He's now moving into the winter months in Canada, so his golf obviously will be somewhat curtailed. But he'll be
Yes.
back on the indoor circuit, I imagine. So
Yes, I have
play well.
my usual sort of podcast that I listen to from the North American podcasters. They're all sort of gearing up for their winter solstice,
They
and
are.
yeah, on the indoor driving range and ready to hunker down and sort of start working on their game a little bit in the indoor driving ranges.
They are. We are certainly not doing that because, and I'm just doing a little calculation here live on air as we go, because for us, the temperature is not cooling down. It is, in fact, heating up.
Yes, it
I
is.
was looking at the forecast, Andy Walker, for what we can expect in parks this weekend for the country championships. It will be tipping over the 30-degree mark Celsius, which
Mm.
is at 86 Fahrenheit for
Yep.
both days of the weekend.
Mm.
So 2 days of 18 holes of walking, stroke play, 30-degree heat. Looking forward to it.
Fortunately, Sunday is going to be an early start, so we should get around before the worst of the heat. But
Mm,
with a midday tea time on Saturday, I think that's
mm.
right in the middle
Oh,
of
yeah.
the heat of the day.
Oh, yeah. It will be. But that's okay. So anyway, I digress. Voice of the Pilgrims. So we've heard from Mick. Andy Walker, any messages come through to you during the week?
Yeah, I heard from Ted from Mollymook
There's a surprise.
about a week ago, and anyone who doesn't actually know, Ted from Mollymook is my dad, so I do talk to him quite often. Had another even par for 9 holes down at the
It's on
beachside
fire.
course at Mollymook.
How good is that?
Had 7 pars, one birdie, one bogey.
That's solid golf. Rock
Yeah,
solid golf.
so given Ted from Mollymook is 83 years of age to sneak around in even par around 9 holes, I think it's a pretty damn good effort.
That's fantastic effort. What a
Mm.
legend.
Yeah, yeah. Also received a message from him because he'd been away on holidays and had fallen a little bit behind with the podcast, and he listened to was catching up, listened to episode 50 where we discussed
Mm, highlights.
the highlights of of the year. And as anyone who's listened to episode 50 had would know, that actually having my dad along for the ride was one of my highlights, number two, I think it was.
It
And
was.
I received a message from Ted from Mollymook saying, he was quite surprised and how special it was. And I just sort of had a bit of a hint that maybe a tear was in the eye when he was
Really?
writing that message. Yeah, I think he may have got a bit emotional and
Fair enough.
yeah, had a bit of a tear.
Yeah. Rightly so, Ted.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I
Showing a bit
think
of
I
emotion as a bloke these days. Nothing wrong with that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Should be
But
more of it.
yeah, look, I've and as I've said at the time, having him along for the ride has been one of the highlights of this last 12 months. And yeah, that only continues with even par round. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be quite a few more stories to come.
That is impressive. Very impressive when you consider, obviously, Ted would very easily qualify for the senior circuit at this point. And to be knocking it around in even par for 9 holes, I feel like, honestly, if I'm still playing golf like that when I'm in my early 80s, then I'll be pretty happy with life. So,
Well, I'm just looking up the Golf Australia app just
veteran,
to see what he's 10.5.
10.5.
10.5, 83-year-old, playing off
That's amazing.
10.5.
That is quality. That is high
Yeah,
quality stuff.
yeah. And
Way
that's
to go,
that's
Ted.
not just at beachside. That's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
at Hilltop.
Hilltop.
That's the
Yeah,
championship golf course.
yeah.
So, and if anyone's gone down to Mollenwook and played the championship course
Yeah.
down there, it
That's
is,
a serious test of golf.
yeah, yeah. So to get
And
around there, and
fitness, to be
he
perfectly honest, to get around
and
that course is,
and walks, still
yeah,
walks,
that's
doesn't jump in
amazing.
a cart, he walks. So
That
it's
is
pretty
fantastic.
phenomenal.
I'm going to put it out there at the start of the episode that Ted from Mollymook is this week's Missing Links Golf Show Player of the Week.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations, Ted, our first repeat winner of that award, that illustrious. We've got to start handing something out for this. Actually, there's got to be something out there.
We've got to have
Leave
some
it with
merch
me.
somewhere, surely.
We're running low on merch at the moment. We might need to do another order. We may have sponsored the Missing Links Golf Show podcast in the Twilight Summer Eights
Nice,
competition
nice.
around Royal Dubbo. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Now, quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, we've got this tournament coming up at the end of the week. So a lot of the stories that we will tell tonight are through the lens of preparation. Build up, preparation. There's probably a
Yep.
theme in there somewhere. So I know you've had a recent round. We need to talk about the end of October for the yearly championship.
Yes.
I've played a few rounds of golf as well, and also have employed a coach, which we'll get to in due
Ooh,
course.
nice.
It's a very exciting update. So there's a bit to get to, but I think probably the place to start, Andy Walker, if you like, is your recent competitive round, which,
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong, wrapped up the month of August, of
Yes.
October, or even October.
Yeah, it's a couple of months after August.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did play last Tuesday, the 29th, just snuck one in towards the end of the
Mm,
month. I had planned to have around the Tuesday prior, but I had a few little four-legged issues,
mm,
which
mm.
yeah,
Not great.
my beloved dog is getting on a bit in years, and he's just not well. So yeah, he's coming to the end, which is a bit sad, but he's had a good life. But
Mm.
yeah, we went out on Tuesday, the 29th, and I if you remember, we had sort of plateaued a little bit in our golf, and
Frustratingly so.
my rounds in recent times have been somewhere between sort of 78 to 80. There was a lot in that bracket, so it was getting a little bit frustrating.
Mm,
But I'd also put a fair bit of time in the high performance center. So I was looking forward to actually getting out and just testing some skills out in the golf
mm.
course. And
Now, I think we need to set the scene on this a little
yep.
bit as well, Andy Walker, because I had registered around in October
Mm,
with a differential percentage of minus 33%.
mm,
So that was the target. Now you were coming in playing off a 2.7, which meant that you needed to shoot something in the vicinity of around about a differential of around about 3.5 or
mm,
better
yep.
to take the month of October.
Mm,
So pilgrims, keep that number in the back of your mind,
mm,
because this gets interesting.
yep. Yeah. Look, and I must admit I did feel relatively confident because, as I said, I'd put a fair bit of time into my game in the high performance center, and I was felt like I was hitting it pretty well. I'd been out and played a couple of holes sort of here and there, and all was going quite well. So I was pretty confident when I stood on the first tee last Tuesday. So started off with a pretty solid par. Second hole, par three. I was only 110 meters, and I hit a wedge that quite literally finished 10 centimeters behind the hole. And
You
it
fly the
was
flag and suck it back, Andy Walker. Is
it,
that
it
right?
actually landed a little bit to the right of the flag and jagged
Screwed it.
left.
Nice.
Yeah, so it didn't. Well, it
Nice.
threatened the hole obviously, but it didn't actually go over the hole,
Mm.
even though it was behind the hole from where I hit it. So that was an easy birdie, but unfortunately bogeyed the next hole, the third. Easy par on four. Then I went birdie, birdie, birdie
Wow.
to be three under after seven.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this stage, I was going, yeah, you know what? This is starting to feel pretty good. And I'd hit a number of good shots. I was starting to, how you get that feeling of a little bit of nervousness. You feel as though that you're playing well and a good round could be coming up.
I know the feeling.
But unfortunately, from there, I struggled a little bit with my swing. I felt like I started to fight my swing.
Mm.
The old sort of habit started to come back. The old cast from the top, early
Oh,
extension, and just didn't quite feel as though I was had the sort of the ball striking that I'd had early in the round. So I finished the nine par bogey, so I was still two under after nine,
mm.
and I stood on
Solid.
10 and I went, all right, well, new nine. And what I want to do is I just want to get through this nine and just grind. So just stay in the game, take each shot as it comes and just grind through. So that's what I did. Just ground my way through the nine. I had a couple of bogeys, birdie to come back on 14, so I still one under through 14. Hit a terrible shot at 15 off the
Mm.
tee and had to take a drop. I was in the water hazard, and 15's a
Uh,
par five. And it was I hit the shot so bad that I was didn't really have a second shot even after taking the drop, so I just had to punch it up the fairway. Couldn't reach the green for what's that, four,
oof.
um, and then didn't get up and down and made seven.
Yeah.
So I've gone
Ouch.
from one under to one over.
Oh
But
dear.
again, it was just this whole grind of, I didn't feel comfortable in with my swing, and I just felt as though the whole and my weakness of the cast and getting very handsy through the swing was just leading to quite poor ball striking and just really struggling.
Mm.
But I managed to grind my way out and grind my way through the last three holes and have three pars to finish with. So I finished at one over,
Mm.
which, considering I was three under through eight, I look back and I go, you know what, it's a little bit disappointing.
Mm.
But the good thing is that I stayed in the game and I didn't let it slip completely. One over is still a good round, and if you had to give
Great
me one
round.
over at the start of the day, I would have taken it.
Of course.
So there's a lot of good things there, but I just feel as though, and it's the whole, you know, swing change that I've been working on since the start of the year, trying to, which, remember the couple of coaching sessions I had earlier in the
Yes.
year, where it was the, coming over the top, the casting from the top, the fact that my club head speed is at its maximum before impact,
Yeah.
and that I was basically saving my swing with my hands through impact, which obviously then when you get under pressure, makes it extremely difficult to be able to consistently hit good shots because you're not putting yourself in a position where you're keeping the club face square through impact. You've got to save. Well, I've got to save the shot through impact with my hands.
Mm.
So there's a lot to work on. I feel good about the round and the fact that I stayed in it and that I ground my way through to a 1 over. Obviously, the fact that I needed 3.5 or over or
Yep.
less to win October helped with being satisfied with the round. But yeah, there's a lot of really good things there, but there's also a lot to work on. I putted quite well. I made a lot of putts inside 6 feet. In fact, I don't think I missed a putt inside 6 feet. And yeah, I think there's some really good things there, but yeah, as I said, a lot to work on.
I think I speak on behalf of many of the pilgrims when I say that 1 over par is hardly a grind. It's a
Well, if
fantastic round of golf.
if I go through my strokes gained,
Mm.
so the round itself was +2 strokes gained, obviously in comparison to a scratch handicapper.
Yep.
But if I
Because
break
Coimbra is
it,
a tough track.
yeah, if I break it down to the four different sections that we have, so mine is 1.4 strokes gained driving,
Right.
plus point 0.5 approach play,
Mm.
minus point 0.2 short game,
It's pretty good.
and 3.0 putting.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you've
So
putted the
putting,
eyes out of it.
yeah, I putted really, really well. I don't feel as though there was really anything that I could have done from a putting perspective to make the round better. But yeah, off the tee, that was really where, I didn't I was less confident than what I was in other parts of my
Yep.
game. And yeah, that's really where I need to work, and that's where that cast and the saving through the hands, that's where it's gonna or say, trying to save it with my hands through impact is gonna really affect those
Mm.
shots more
Mm.
than
Mm.
any other part of my game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Leading to the inconsistencies. Fantastic effort, Andy Walker. That gives you the month of October,
Mm,
not August, as it turns out,
no,
because in fact I won August. So happy to go back and talk about August. But that certainly gives
did
you
I
the month
actually
of
play in
October.
August?
You did. You did not play in July.
Ah,
You
okay,
played in August.
I know there was one. Yeah, there was one month I didn't have a game
Yep.
because of my injury.
You had one round in August. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible though. It was a 6.5 differential. It gave you a differential percentage of minus 195%, which was not ideal.
No.
But you did with a round that came in at a 0.8 differential. So that's a positive 70% of differential percentage, giving you the month of October, which means that the totals sit at the moment on 14 and 15. Andy Walker on 14 points, myself on 15 points, still with that ominous round sitting there for the 4 bonus points, makes it in real terms 18 plays 15, really. I
Mm.
think unless something extraordinary happens towards the end of this month and into December, possible, definitely possible, but it would have to be extraordinary. So it's all on November, December. You could potentially
Wrap it up.
wrap it up in
Mm.
November. I have had a round in November, which counts.
Well, I'm going to have at least two.
I'm going to also have 2 more. I mean, you would think so, so long as it's not an injury issue that rears its
Well, that is true. That
ugly
is
head.
true. It's happened before.
We're on the tee sheet for 2 more rounds at least at this point. Yeah, wow. So anything could happen. So yeah, thoughts, feelings coming off this round, because there's a few things in it. All right, something
Mm.
that I want to potentially to ask is, you've shot one over, like, and you haven't felt amazing.
Mm.
But what is good, it is the ability to post a number and to get the
Yeah.
ball in the hole and
Yeah.
register a
Yeah.
score, right?
Well, it's quite interesting because and you know, if you listen to the interview with Scotty Fisher that we had in February, and Scotty obviously, you know, knows me and my game, and how I was playing sort of back there through the 90s. And one of the things that he said was that he felt as though I was always quite good under pressure,
Mm,
right? However, looking back to, you know, that time, the way I felt on last Tuesday is very similar to how I felt a lot of the time when I was playing during the 90s, in that, and a lot of this, because that was what I was practicing and grooving. I mean, I loved the way Jack Nicklaus played, so I wanted to hit a fade. And the
mm.
way that I got to hit a fade was the whole cast early extension, and
That's
then
interesting.
yeah,
So is that like, if, and I don't even know if you can answer this, like, would you be a natural fader of the ball, or have you been
no,
trying to force something into your game that just shouldn't be there and you should be hitting
no,
a draw?
that is exactly right. And interestingly, my very first coach, a guy by the name of Doug Canty, came from Port Kembla Golf Club. Doug, when I was first went to him, I was hitting a draw, and he was like, yeah, you know, for a right-hander, the right to left draw is the most natural shot that you can have. And it was sort of at that stage where I was starting to go, well, I actually want to hit a fade, you know, because, you know, you heard about, you know, Lee Trevino used to say, you know, you can talk to a fade, but a hook won't listen. Jack Nicklaus used to hit a fade. Greg Norman used to hit a fade. So I was like, I want to hit a fade, right? And I mean, Doug was a reasonable way away, a couple of hours away from where I was down at Mollymook. So I had a tendency then just to go off and practice what I wanted to practice and implement into my swing what I wanted to implement, which I wanted here to fade,
So
right?
this is the good old fashioned Andy Walken stubborn streak going to the
Exactly,
full.
exactly. Because I had this, rather than me wanting to play like I wanted to play my best golf, but I had an image of how I wanted to play golf, right?
Mate, imagine if you could go back and have a chat with that guy.
Exactly, exactly. So
All right.
this whole casting from the top, and it was basically, you know, just, you know, turning my shoulders to, you know, straight away, because that's how, you know, I wanted to get, you know, to cut
Mm,
across the ball to get left to right spin on it. Um, that's how I practiced, and I hit hours and hours and hours and hours of golf balls
mm.
grooving this swing in, which sort of worked a lot of the time. But when I was under the gun, when I was under pressure, I just didn't have confidence in it, and I felt as though it could go at any moment. And there were
And would
times
that and would
when
that be the double cross then, that you do the big pull hook
a,
because you're
a,
coming
a
over the
lot of
top?
a lot of the time, or then it just ends up being this weak block that ends up
Yeah,
short right of the flag. So I didn't really know where it was going, and that's as a result of obviously being very handsy through impact,
yeah, yeah.
right? So yeah, it's one of those things that the way I felt on Tuesday was sort of just bringing those old habits, and what I've grooved over a lot of golf balls, a lot of hours spent on the driving range. And now that I don't really have that image in my head, in that, you know, I know that I hit the ball right to left. I
Mm,
draw the ball
mm,
as a right-handed golfer, and you know, I want to play my best golf, and I want to get my swing and game into the best position where it works under pressure,
mm.
which is why I've sort of embarked on this whole journey of making these swing changes so that I can, you know, drop the club on the inside. I mean, you know, there's the shallowing of the golf club, which which I'm a believer in. I mean, you look at the likes of, Mo Norman and Lee Trevino, and even Ben Hogan talks about it, that the plane of your downswing should be lower than the plane of your backswing.
Mm.
You look at Tommy Fleetwood, classic example. You look at where he is through his downswing. There's so many great ball strikers who have been in that inside position with quite a a strong position sort of halfway through their downswing, where all they're really doing is just keeping the club face square through impact, and that the club face is actually, and you look at Mo Norman, and Mo Norman had some ridiculous length that he was square from impact into post
Yep.
impact. I forget exactly
Yep.
how long it was, but it was a ridiculous amount of time
It
or
was like
length, I
18
should say
inches or
that.
something like that. I think it was like a
Yeah,
foot and a half
and
post
it
impact,
just
but he was
gives
still square.
you
Yeah.
it gives you such um a huge margin for error if you're keeping the club face square all through impact and quite a fair distance after impact. So
Mm.
that's sort of where I want my game to head, and what I'm working on. So just trying to get out of the whole casting and saving it with my hands through impact, and obviously early extension. So um, I feel as though I'm getting there, but it's going to take I reckon, a lot of time to be able to get that to get into the position consistently that I want to be able to get into.
Yep. Interesting. How would you rate how you felt about that round? Like how you felt about your game in that round out of 10.
Oh, look, if you break it down into ball striking is probably only a 4 or 5. Um, Putting, I think is one of my better putting rounds.
Mm.
That's got to be, at probably a 9, I reckon. Um, Short game, my short game's getting a lot better. I'm doing a little bit of work with my short game at the moment. I've discovered the Tour Tempo app with
All right. And that's working for short game, is it?
yeah, absolutely. So Tour Tempo, for those who don't know what the Tour Tempo app is, it's the guy who designed the Tour Tempo app went back and looked at all of the great players, and they all have a 3-to-1. So three,
Mm.
say, three backswing to one downswing.
Mm. So your backswing's 3 times longer in time than your downswing.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Mine's pretty much the same. I'm a 1-to-1.
You're a 1-to-1. So what he's designed a an app where you can actually practice having a 3-to-1 tempo with
Mm.
your swing, which is quite interesting, and he's got various speeds. So not only is it a training your tempo, you can also do some speed training as well. It's actually quite a good app. But then there's a short game section, and short game's a little bit different to your full swing in that you should have a 2-to-1 tempo with your short game, which sort of makes sense because it's a shorter swing, right?
Mm.
Now, when I started practicing my short game, I very, very quickly realized that I was decelerating on my pitching and chipping.
Mm.
So I've been doing in the high performance center, been doing a fair bit of work with my short game tempo to be able to accelerate through the ball. And it has made a phenomenal difference on the golf
Really?
course. So inside 100 meters has
Mm.
it's almost a game changer.
Mm.
So yeah, my short game inside 100 meters pitching and chipping has taken a turn for the better
I might have
through
to look at
the
this.
tour tempo.
Might have to look at this. I don't know if I can implement all of these changes between now and Saturday, but
Well, I implemented this. I bought the Tour Tempo app probably maybe a month, 6 weeks ago. So I've been working on it for a little while,
Yeah.
but that's part of my warm up in the high performance center. So I usually try and get out there for half-hour blocks, and for the first 10 minutes, that's my tour tempo, 2-to-1 short game of pitching and chipping, which has just been has been really, really good and really phenomenal, to a point where now it actually sort of feels natural to be able
Mm.
to accelerate and be aggressive through the ball on my pitching and chipping.
Okay. Mm. That is very intriguing indeed.
Mm.
Because I have no doubt I have a similar issue, and I know that it's what leads to a lot of inconsistent contact, is that decelerating through the ball,
Yeah. Yeah.
along with other issues.
Mm.
But that's definitely relevant. Good
Yeah.
one.
No, I actually did a little bit of short game today, just at my home club around the chipping and pitching green, and just the crispness of the contact, is it's chalk and cheese compared to what it was a month,
Yeah,
6 weeks
right.
ago.
Okay. All right, you've convinced me. I'm going to check it out, without a doubt.
Mm. Yeah, so
I'll
that's
report back.
that's one part of sort of the changes that I'm looking at, and obviously we've discussed a couple of other bits of technology that we've implemented at different stages, which I'm not sure if we'll get to it tonight, but certainly they'll be part of the discussion over the next few weeks.
Given how we're racing through the agenda at the 36-minute mark right now, I'd say it's unlikely that we're going to get there, but that's okay. There's plenty of other episodes to follow this one,
There
and
is.
lots of time to talk about technology. Good one, Andy Walker. Well, I think if we've done with that topic, we might move on to some recent rounds that I may or may not have
Mm.
played over the last couple of weeks. There's been a few that we have not yet had a chance to talk about, and I think I'll share all of this under the guise of preparation for this week's tournament for the New
Yep.
South Wales Country Championships, because it's all really building in that direction. So I mentioned earlier that we've got the summer twilight comp has kicked off. The Missing Links Golf Show podcast has a team in the
Nice.
in the competition, which is pretty funny. There goes all of our hats for merch to sponsor the boys getting around. That's it. I've got to order. Well, actually, we want to do a few better designs and better quality hats, to be perfectly honest. So the competition now is, well, it's about to enter week 3. So 2 weeks of rounds have been played. We kicked off. So it kicked off with a round with 2 other guys from the team. And Andy Walker, I might just quickly take you through that 9-hole round. It was from the forward tee, so I will preface the story with that, because if I don't say that, then there'll be others that will remind me of that fact, that it is from the forward tees.
Yep.
But nevertheless, that's fine. So anyway, we won't go through gory detail, but we'll say during this round of 9 holes, my fairways in regulation stat was 86%.
Ooh, nice.
Greens in regulation was 78%. And putts was 16 for 9 holes.
Okay.
Feels like it's probably going to be a decent round.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went 2 pars to start,
Yep.
which was good. Then on the 3rd hole, hit the fairway, hit the green, fairway from the pin, and unfortunately a 3-putt bogey. So we dropped a shot, went to 1 over. Then the next hole, par 4, fairway green, drained the putt for birdie. So we got that
Nice.
shot back.
Nice. Good comeback.
Yep. Short par 3, 5th, missed the green, unfortunately, but a good scrambling up and down to save par.
Was that
And
with
we
the
move
new
on.
wedges?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, actually. Yeah, let's say it was. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it would have been. It would have had to have been.
Mm. Yeah. So shot saved with the new wedges already.
They're already paying for themselves. And then we move on to the sixth, par four six, that little dog leg along the road, dog leg right. So punched a good drive down, short little sand wedge onto the green, made the putt birdie.
Nice. Nice.
What
So
else
what
have I
one
got?
under at this stage, yeah?
One under through six. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. Go to the seventh, par five seventh, bombed a drive, flushed a 6-iron onto the green, two putt birdie.
2 under through 7.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
On
Pretty good.
fire.
Yep.
How are we feeling at this stage?
Pretty good.
Were you nervous?
Feeling. Yes and no. Actually, no. No. I wasn't, I would not say nervous at all. No. It was at this point, it was like as close to one of those in the zone moments that we talked
Mm.
about with Paul Salter that I can
Yep.
remember in a long time.
Mm.
And I remember it just being relaxed and fun
Yep.
and knowing the score. Like I knew exactly what the score was,
Mm.
but didn't care.
Yep.
So was able to just stay in each shot. So anyway, we moved on to the eighth. The eighth is that downhill par three.
Yep.
Probably, to be honest, probably hit my worst iron shot of the round. Pulled it, missed the right hand bunker to the right hand side.
Ooh.
Had an impossible up and down with
Mm.
the flag just over the
Yep.
big shoulder of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bunker. But Andy Walker, I will say this: I had that quote. I think it comes from potentially Adam Scott from when Steve Williams was caddying for him in the 2013 Masters, maybe. Said something along the lines of when he was short sighted at one point, said something along the lines of make your putt the great shot on this hole,
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
you know? So just get it on the green, which I did. Took the medicine, safely got it on the green, two putt bogey, which was a shame. So we go to the ninth tee, 1 under.
Now, I'm assuming you've never shot under par for 9 holes before, have you?
You are correct. And in fact, I've never shot even par for 9 holes before.
Ooh.
1 over being my
Wow.
best, I'm pretty sure. I
So
know I've
there's a bit
shot
of
1
pressure
over.
here.
Yeah, there is. So this is a dogleg left par four. Should be familiar with. There's OB up the right, but dogleg left. So I kind of, and I can cut the corner a little bit. So I teed it up and let it rip, and I cut the corner, possibly slightly more aggressively than I needed to.
Mm.
And we all looked at it and went, yeah, that's asking a lot on that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
But you know, like it was flushed though, I've got to say. So anyway, there's pretty thick trees up the left-hand side. If you get over them, you're sitting pretty in the fairway with a short, wedge into the green. If you don't get over them, then anything can happen if you play pinball in the tree. So we
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
I had almost got over them,
Mm.
but not quite. But the ball had just poked its nose out towards the fairway side of the trunks of the trees. The problem was though, Andy Walker, overhanging branch trouble. So I couldn't play a normal approach shot. So I had to get the 6-iron out. I was about 65 meters from the green, with probably about, say the first 15 to 20 meters being overhanging branches. So it had to be a low punch, clear the rough, get it onto the fairway and try and run it up onto the green. Which I'm happy to say I was able to do. Ran it up between the two front bunkers, got it
Nice.
up onto the green. Had a bit of a snaky across the slope first putt,
Yep.
which I hit a good putt and it finished. I was probably about 2.5 feet from the hole, straight up the hill. So,
Mm.
I was in someone else's line though, so I marked my ball, had a bit of a rest and a think about it, and put my ball back down. And one of my playing partners, at that point, before I'd hit the putt, as I was putting the ball back down, one of my playing partners made the comment, That's fantastic round, 1 under. Well done.
No, no. Like, did he know what he was saying? Like, was it intentional? Do you reckon, or was it
No, I
just one
think
of
it was. I
those?
think I honestly think it was just genuine. Like just looking at it, going, well, that's I'd probably call it a gimme in match play. So
Yeah,
the way that you've been putting this round, I'm confident that you're going to make it. So it just came out right. I
yeah,
absolutely don't think that there was anything sinister in it at all. But I will say this: that at that point, that putt went from 2.5 feet to about 8 feet.
yeah,
In my
yeah,
head.
for sure.
So with that in mind, I stepped up and I smacked it straight in the heart of the hole and finished with a
Nice,
par and 1 under
nice.
for the 9, which was really good. I was very happy with that. And it felt like a breakthrough, would you
Yeah,
say?
yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, to shoot under par at any point is a great round of golf. I mean, yeah, you should be, and having not even shot even par, like, 1 over is your
Mm.
best for 9. I mean, you've obliterated that by a couple of shots and
Yeah,
coming in the red.
it was good. And I mean, I think, reflecting on the fact that I didn't feel overawed by the possibility of going under par with a couple of holes
Yeah,
to play. Um, I think that might have been partly because we were playing off the forward tees. So
yeah,
I had in my mind always this caveat that, obviously it's easy to say, oh, well, you're off the forward tees, you're not off the plate. So is it really that big a deal?
it's still golf though. Like,
It's still golf and it's still a
yeah,
reasonable golf course. Like there's some a couple of the holes that makes a significant difference. Like on the
yeah,
fourth, the fourth is a very long par 4 off the plates, and
mm,
you're hitting a good driver and a pretty long iron to the green to get
yeah,
there. Whereas this was driver pitching wedge.
yeah,
So, that's a substantial, and I must say, actually, the pitching wedge nearly went in for 2 on that one. I
yeah,
was
right, yeah, yeah,
about a foot away. So, like, there is that. But at the same time, like, how many times have you played a hole which is driver pitching wedge and you're not on the green for 2. You're not
yeah.
making bogey. Like, you're still going to hit decent golf shots.
Yeah, and
So
and that's the
that
thing.
there's that.
Regardless on what the golf course is, to shoot under par, that's still good golf. You've still got to go out there and hit good golf shots, make putts. So yeah, regardless on whether it's a shorter golf course or whether it's a longer golf course, I think that that's still a great effort.
Hmm. And look, it also definitely transferred because then early the following week, I went out for 9 or actually 10 holes just on my own. So it wasn't part of the comp, and therefore I played off the back tees. And through 10 holes, I was 1 over. So,
Nice. Mm.
so that obviously the golf is in there. So they're the kind of the good news stories, Andy Walker, that have been taking place recently, because in amongst all of that, I played the comp at Wentworth down in Orange on Saturday, which was the monthly medal. And like in the lead up, in all these other rounds, in particular, my game off the tee has literally felt bulletproof. Like I've
Mm.
never been this confident with my swing with the driver, and just, actually really feeling like it's the weapon in my
Yep.
bag.
Yep. It's a
So I
good
went
feeling,
to,
isn't it? Like,
oh,
when you
it's a game changer.
how much easier is golf
Yeah,
when you can get off the tee?
it's completely different, which is a great segue into the round at Wentworth. So, so I was paired up with, so I just got my name down in the comp, paired up with 2 guys who were local members, really,
Mm,
really nice guys, and another guy who was also a visitor from another part of New South Wales. I won't mention where, because the reason for that will become painfully apparent as we go through this story. So anyway, stepped up onto the first tee and kind of hit a Healy cut of a drive into the left rough thinned a gap wedge over the back of the green, scrambled a bogey. The next hole, I said hello and how are you to a very nasty case of the smothered duck hooks
Ooh.
off the tee.
Yeah, been there.
I just couldn't get it off the tee for pretty much the rest of the round.
Yeah, right.
Everything was going low and hard right, and then further. To the extent where I started to play around with thinking I'm going to swing my driver as if I'm trying to hit a big banana cut slice.
Oh, wow.
Like that was the feel that
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
going
yeah.
for. And when I did that, I was hitting like laser tracer bullets straight up the center of the fairway.
Yeah, right.
with not even a foot of fade.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And I feel like I could feel I've thought about this over the last couple of days. I actually went to the Cairo today.
Yep.
Because I could feel I was quite locked up in the hips and the lower back.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that with that sort of issue with mobility, I was getting to the top of the swing and then just spinning and throwing your hands at the ball and coming over the top and just pull hooking it. So I went to so anyway, the point of the story is it was a horrible round of golf. I unfortunately did get a double snowman of 88 on that round, which to be honest could have been so much worse.
Yep.
Like there were some good saves in there to limit the damage and some reasonable putting to limit the damage. So what I am happy with is that I stayed in the fight and I didn't eject out of the round. I didn't throw it away and I actually tried to scrape it through and stay focused on every shot. So I thought there was quite a lot to take away from it. And even just being able to try and problem solve some of the swing issues during the round and make a little bit of progress and find a way to get the ball around was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a bit to take out of it, even though it was an absolute struggle. But it was, and it was also interesting because I think I've been so happy with where my swing is at over the last few weeks that it was almost a timely reminder of just how close you always are when you're playing good golf, how close you are to playing bad golf. And conversely, when you're playing bad golf, how close you are to good golf still.
Yeah.
There's not much in it.
No, there's not at all.
And I think that was a bit of a reminder. And I'm glad that it happened on Saturday and not this coming Saturday. Because I think if that happened this coming Saturday and I had that issue off the tee, all of those feelings of, imposter syndrome, embarrassment, all those sorts of things would come roaring to the fore. So this, I think, at least has given me something to deal with it. But it does make my confidence in everything that has been good happening a little bit fragile, which I'll come back to, because I do want to talk about old mate, the fourth player in our group, Andy Walker. And I'm interested in your thoughts on this. So we were standing on the green on the second hole, and we'd all kind of chipped on and marked balls, and old mate had got his ball onto the green and he was putting his marker down. And I noticed an interesting technique with marking the ball, which was the thumb the ball forward a couple of inches as you're putting the marker down.
Yeah.
Pick the ball up and then put the ball down to line your putt up around about 3 inches in front of the marker, and then pick the marker up and then hit your putt. So probably gained, I would say, 4 or 5 inches from where the ball originally was before playing the putt, which I saw and I thought, I'm a guest, he's a guest. Don't really want to fight this battle at the moment. He was an 18 handicapper as well, which is fine. Nothing against 18 handicappers. I've been one myself and I'm friends with many of them. And I thought, I'm just going to pay attention to this and see what happens on the next green. Andy Walker, for the next 16 greens,
did exactly the same thing.
The same behavior continued. And what also happened was, it was, say, when you've hit a putt up and you're going to continue, and for some people, and I do this, you're going to continue, but drop the marker down and just line the line up on the ball, take the marker, and away you go.
Yeah.
Like it takes 2 seconds, so it's not about speed of play issue, but it's just a a method of doing it. He would do it in those scenarios as well. So he'd hit his
Yeah,
first
wow.
putt up to about 2 feet and then nudge it to about a foot and a half and then hit the putt from there.
Did your playing partners notice?
They didn't seem to care. They didn't seem to care. And
Wow.
yeah. And
Yeah.
look, in all honesty, the score was not going to threaten,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
at any point. But it's just one of those things that is a reminder when you go, you know what? How could you allow yourself to do that?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know,
As
to
a
be honest
visitor
with
of
you.
the club as well,
Yeah.
like in any
Yeah.
situation, sure. As a visitor of the club. What made it even better is that his wife was traveling around in the cart watching him play.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that interested in, kind of, uh, raising it and causing an issue, with penalty strokes or anything like that. But I was considering walking over to the cart and just saying, hey, your husband's a cheat. If I were you, I'd be keeping an eye on him. Yeah. You know what they say? Do it on the golf course, you'll do it in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Not convinced that that's the best tactic, but
I didn't do it. Pilgrims, I didn't do
no.
it, but it was tempting. I've got to tell you.
Yeah. 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 Look, and unfortunately, that is, I wouldn't say common, but it does
Yeah,
happen.
you don't
And
see it often.
yeah, but it probably does happen at most golf clubs on most weekends. Um, I don't know. It's you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think in that you don't want to have a blow up with someone that you're playing golf with,
No,
especially that's going
no.
to impact your own game.
Yeah, just not worth it.
But
But I will say
then,
this. I will say this as a community announcement, Andy Walker, to all the pilgrims out there that are listening. I would imagine if you're pilgrims of the Missing Links Golf Show, then you're a stand-up human, and there's not a chance
hmm,
that you would come up with a cheat on the golf course. However, if you do, if you've ever been guilty of it, I'm telling you now, everyone that you play golf with knows and has
yeah,
picked it up. And if they haven't said anything, they still think less of you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've told you the story a number of times about my experience with a very well-known Australian sportsman that I will not
Shall we
name
unveil
the.
him on?
No, no, we will not unveil who it is or the sport involved.
Okay.
Where I played a round of golf with that sportsman, and yeah, he was doing exactly that, and
It's appalling.
yeah, I was very, very unimpressed because I was quite a fan of this sportsman whilst he was playing. I thought he was very good for the sport, and it was a very disappointing way to get
It
to know
really is.
him.
Really is. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is.
It really is. So there's that. We'll put that aside for now because the lead story that was coming up out of that round of golf is a week out from the country championships. My confidence was absolutely shot, Andy
Mm.
Walker.
Well, what I'll say, and there's a couple of comments that I'd like to make. Firstly, I I think that it's an outlier. I don't think that you can take that round of golf and go, yeah, this is how I'm playing, because and you're always going to have that. You're always going to have those outliers. You're always going to, for whatever reason, no one knows. The golfing gods just don't like you that day, and
Mm.
you are going to have a bad round. Happens to everyone. And there are times where you don't even look at the stats. You just throw that round away, clear the slate. Okay, I'm going to start again on the first tee the next time I go out. And I mean, I had one of those rounds at Glenmore a couple of months ago where I shot
True.
90. Admittedly, the weather conditions were pretty ordinary, but I felt as though that was my round. And
Mm.
these can come out of nowhere. Like it's you don't know when they're going to come, just as you don't know when you're going to get a round of the opposite where all the breaks are going to go your way and you're going to shoot one of your best scores ever. Like you don't know when you jump on the first tee what's going to happen. So I would say, if it were me, just wipe the slate clean, look back at how you've been playing over the last few weeks, and you've played some really, really good golf. I mean, to shoot under par for 9 holes, to shoot 1 over through 10 holes, playing off the back tees, even though it was a practice round.
Mm.
You know, there's some good signs there.
Oh,
You
there
know,
are, and look, as a result of that, I decided to get back on the horse as quickly as possible,
mm,
and got out after work today for 9 holes before we jumped on the microphones, because I just wanted to see. I wanted to see if I could right the ship
yep,
with the driver and ball striking issues that plagued me on the weekend. And happy to say, Andy Walker, outside of having what was an explainable but an ordinary double bogey. I played the back nine this afternoon, which is the harder of the two nines, in my
yep,
opinion, because it's the one with the lakes and quite a
mm,
lot of water
yep,
and issues. Anyway, had a double bogey there on 14, but outside of that, shot a 3 over for 9.
nice.
So um, it was solid golf and it was good. I was getting the tee ball in play with some reasonable distance, striking my irons pretty well, putted pretty well, and definitely enjoying those new wedges around the green. Like
Yeah, yeah. So that was
that's
3 over, including the double bogey. Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So look, I don't think your game's gone anywhere. As I said, I think that's just an outlier that you had, that you've just got to go, you know what, those rounds happen. But quite interesting, and this is more of an observation, and it's a message that you sent me after you'd finished playing. And you said, about 5 years ago, I won the C grade monthly medal and was very happy with my round. Today, I
Mm,
shot the same score and felt like it was the worst round I've ever played.
mm, it's true.
So that to me, in 5 years, how you've gone from, one of your best rounds, winning the monthly medal,
Mm.
to 5 years later shooting the same score and just walking off the course going, that's just the worst.
Yeah, I know, and it
To
just makes me
me,
shudder to think how bad the golf was that I was playing 5 years ago.
but there are times I think you need to just like take a step back and take stock of how much you've improved, right? And that's a huge improvement, right? To go from, your best round to being your worst round in the space of 5 years, when you've got all these other things going on in your life, and golf's not, it is a focus, but it's not the primary focus.
Mm.
I think that's a decent effort, and I think sometimes you've just got to, take a step back, pat yourself on the back and go, you know what, I'm in a pretty good place.
Oh, look, there's truth in that. I think what came out though, it's like a level of golf PTSD. Yeah, as ridiculous as that sounds, like
Yeah.
when a round like this raises its head, because
Mm.
I played a lot of years of what I would call blind man golf, where I had
Yep.
no idea what I was doing, didn't really care, because it was a bit of fun. I was playing once a month usually. So you just go out and you do the same thing over and over again. And look, we've talked a lot in this show, in the history of this show, about the conversation with the dashingly handsome PE teacher
Yes.
who questioned my desire for improvement. And that's kind of
Mm.
what set a lot of the improvement processes in place. And that wasn't even 5 years ago. That was probably more like 3 years ago, where, I went from about a 16 or 17 handicapper down now into single figures. So but the problem is, when rounds like that rear their head, it takes you all the way back mentally, to kind of go, oh, well, is all of this improvement just a charade? Am I
Mm.
really still that guy? Um,
Mm.
and that, I think, just will take continually some getting over.
Yeah.
And that's probably the bit that just rocked it a little bit. And particularly going into a tournament like this, like, which is going to be with some very high caliber players. I don't want to be hacking it around like a 20 handicapper.
Mm. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and that's understandable. But I think that, understanding golf and understanding what happens with golf at times, I think you've just got to, accept the idea that you're going to have these outlier bad rounds. And, at the end of the day, and this was the conversation we had, no one else really cares,
Oh, that's
right?
true.
You care, and because it's your game, but no one else, you're going to rock up in the clubhouse and you shoot 88. No one else is going to care. You can have a
Yeah.
beer and sit down and have a bit of a laugh and that's it because everyone else is so focused on their game
Yeah.
that they're not focused on what you're doing.
Yeah. And
Right. And
intellectually, I know that to be true.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
But emotionally, it's a bit of
Yeah.
a different story.
Yeah. So it is interesting that but I mean I'm happy, I'm really happy with how today went. I do intend to get out another one or two times this week before we get
Mm,
down to Parks on Friday afternoon, and potentially try and have a little bit of a swing on Friday afternoon when we get down there
mm,
before the tournament starts on Saturday. Um, so there's definitely opportunity to rebuild the confidence between now and then. And certainly took a very good step today in getting there, which is good.
mm,
So that's good. I do
mm.
feel like it's not a case of I've lost all golfing ability in 24 hours. Like it's
No.
it was, and it just was a bad day. I just didn't have the feeling of coordination in my body that day. It was just one of those
Mm.
things I think we've all experienced, that you get out there and you're
Yep.
like, I'm not moving the way that I normally move. I don't have the
Mm.
swing feel the way that it should feel, and everything that I'm trying to do is just wrong.
Yep.
That's just one of those things. But we got through it. We and you live to fight another day. But more exciting news in the build up, and I am going to try and have another one of these coaching sessions this week if I can squeeze in the time. But I have appointed a coach, Andy Walker,
Nice. Nice.
which is exciting.
This has been a
Fellow
long time
lefty.
coming.
It's been about a year
Mm. Mm.
that
And
we've
a
been talking
fellow
about.
lefty, did you say?
Fellow lefty, yeah, and pro
Nice.
at our club. Really good fella, Jake. Jake's going to come on the show as a guest in the not too distant future, and he can give you a full rundown of what he thinks of my strengths and weaknesses and the things to work on. But he did pick up something really interesting in our first session, and that was all about setup. Andy
Yeah,
Walker,
right. Okay.
all about setup. So what he picked up on, and I didn't realize that I've been doing this, but apparently what I've been doing is at address. So we were focusing on iron. So we're really just sort of swinging a 7-iron going through this. What he noticed is at address, my club face was significantly open
Oh, okay.
and my hands were a long way forward.
Oh, okay. Right.
Interesting. And he said to me, "What's your miss?" I said, "Well, my miss is a pull. Like I'm missing, as a lefty, I'm missing right. I might block the odd one, but I'm not missing many greens left. I'm missing most of them right. And I think on my stats, it was something like I've missed 3% of greens to the left,
Yep.
and the majority is to the right." So he went, "Yeah, right, okay. So what I reckon is in your downswing, your body knows your club face is open. So a little bit like your issue of getting very handsy through the ball,
Mm.
your hands are working really hard to square the club face through impact.
Yep.
And that's creating the miss being the pull when the hands are getting a little bit too active through impact space." So we went, all right, well, that sounds fair. And obviously the hands being so far forward is leading to a lower ball flight.
Yep.
So even on the good ones, it's coming in hot and harder to spin and stop on the surface. So we went, okay. So we changed the setup. So, and what he did was interesting as well, because I don't feel like it's open. Like to me, that looks pretty square at address. So I took my stance. He's like, take your stance. And then he held the club in the position that I had put it. He held it and said, let go of it, go back behind me and have a look.
Yep.
Which I did. And he's like, where's the club face pointed? I'm like, about 30 meters left of target.
Wow. Okay.
That was eye opening. So then we got back into stance, and he set the club head and where my hand position should be. So my hands were basically getting in front of my front thigh
Yeah,
at
right.
address.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yep.
quite a long way forward.
Mm.
I remember reading somewhere about getting your hands forward being a good thing, but obviously I've taken that to the extreme.
Yeah, I mean, look, there. If you look at a lot of the really really good players at setup, pretty much from the top of their front shoulder all the way down their front arm through the club face to the club head, it's almost a straight line, or it is a straight line. So that's what I think, that they mean when they say, get your hands in front of the ball, but that also
Not
doesn't
much.
mean so far forward that, yeah, there's actually
Yeah.
an angle there in between your front hand and the club face.
Yeah. Which I was then compensating for with an open club face.
Yeah.
The whole thing was kind of working together. So anyway, what was interesting is he set me up in the right way, and he's like, "This is a square club face. This is what it looks like when you're standing above it." I'm like, that looks hooded and
Yeah.
closed, and
Mm.
like I'm about to duck hook it into the trees
Yeah.
on the right.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like. And he pushed my hands back, and he's like, "That's where I want your hands." I'm like, "Wow, this feels weird." But what was really interesting is I hit one like that and it launched so much higher,
Mm.
and it came down not with a big pull hook like I thought it would. It came down with a nice, gentle, round about two, maybe 1 to 2 yard fade on the way down.
Nice. Nice.
I'm like, yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
Um, so that's been a massive game changer. I'm still very much getting used to it. The timing of implementing this change is less than ideal. Uh,
But 4 days out from the New South Wales Country Championships.
yeah. So get very much getting used to it, but I'm trying to put in a fair few reps on the, in the high performance center. But also, I think it's fair to say, like with today's round, like I flushed a few, that I haven't, like I flushed more as a percentage of my shots with my irons than I have been doing
Mm.
for quite some time. Like
Mm.
it's definitely the right thing to do.
Yep.
Um, and they're traveling a little bit further as well,
Mm.
probably because the square club face is going to do a little bit better than a flippy open club face. So
Yeah, funny that.
yeah, so that's where that's at. So that's kind of exciting, and obviously that's one step in a long process. But I think if we keep working on those sorts of things, it's going to be good.
Nice. Nice. Oh, I'm looking forward to having a chat to Jake, and
He's a good
yeah,
fella too. I think you'll
him
enjoy
him
having a
coming
chat
on the
with him.
show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a good guy. And it's so good having a left-handed coach that can, also pick your club up and go, no, this is what I'm talking about, and
Mm.
actually make the move. That
Mm.
was very helpful.
Yeah. Do
So
you
there,
reminisce at all about, like, left-handers living in a right hand as well?
we did. As a matter of fact, you reminded me of something that I completely forgot about. He mentioned to me that when he was younger, I think when he was about 17 or 18 or something like that, that he won the Australian left-handed golf championships,
Nice. Nice.
um, and has suggested that I might look into the New South Wales and Australian left-handed golf championships, and I think that's a bloody great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So stay tuned for more on that topic.
Nice. Nice.
Mm.
Oh, looking forward to not only playing senior golf, but watching you play. Well, I already see you play
Left-handed
left-handed
championships.
golf.
Yeah, you have seen pretty much all the golf you've ever seen me play has been left-handed golf. But you know what I would love is making some sort of a left-handed tournament where you would then have to come and caddy because you wouldn't be able to play.
That would be funny.
That would be gold. Anyway, we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, that's been what's been going on over the last couple of weeks. Andy
Mm.
Walker, there's been a bit of golf, some of it good, some of it awful. The inconsistency is, I guess, the trouble. It's a different story to what we were talking about in frustrating plateaus, but
Yes.
that's golf, right?
Yeah, it is.
Careful what you ask for. So,
Mm.
all in all, I guess the question is, how are you feeling about this weekend?
Um, Look, I feel as though my game's in a reasonable position. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident that my putting's going to hold up pretty well. It'll be interesting to see how how my ball striking holds up, because I have, and talking about making some changes, I have jumped on YouTube University and made a couple of
So
changes
good.
to my swing.
Tiger would
Um,
be so proud of you right now.
now a lot of those change, well, not a lot of the changes because there's not a lot. The couple of changes that I've made are specifically in relation to being able to get the club sort of back into, down into the slot on my
Mm,
downswing, just to start it so that it basically so that my downswing, the plane of my downswing is either equal to or below the plane of my
mm,
backswing. So if I can achieve that, I think I'm in a much better position to be able to, hit some really good shots, especially if I'm scoring well and we get sort of deep into the round. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I mean, I'm not expecting to shoot the lights out or anything like that. If I shoot, somewhere in the mid 70s, I think I'm, for both rounds, I think I'm going to be pretty happy.
absolutely.
And then yeah, we'll see how we go. I mean, at the end of the day, my time frame, is a lot longer than, this weekend, obviously, because all these swing changes and what I'm doing to put my game in a better position, yeah, is just ongoing. So I my game feels good. I know I can put a score on the board, whether that's under par or not in championship conditions in a New South Wales championship. I think that's probably a bit of a stretch, but yeah, as I said, mid 70s, I'd be reasonably happy, and I think I've got a reasonable shot at doing that.
Mm.
What about yourself?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Like this weekend's thrown me a little bit. I won't lie. Um, that sort of jumped up out of nowhere, and it's just a
Mm,
reminder. I think that golf is hard. Um,
yes.
so I think that's a thing. The other thing is I really want to look at this for the experience that it is, and sort of not get too fixated on the performance or results,
Yeah.
but soak up the experience, enjoy it for what it is, and hopefully, use that as a big learning experience to go into next year when we're
Mm,
talking about the New South Wales Senior Amateur.
mm,
That's more what I want out of it. I really want to, find my good ball striking days and not my, not the days when it just all goes haywire. But it's that nervousness of which one's going to come out.
mm.
Um, I think it is always sitting there. But at the same time, that exists for everybody.
Yeah.
Like I don't, I don't think that's unusual.
Mm,
Um, I really want to try and focus on having that positive intent and attitude, and not going into it apologetically feeling like I shouldn't be there, but actually, to your words from previous episodes, backing myself for the gains that I've achieved and the work that's gone in, and that legitimately I deserve to be there, and to give it a good crack, and enjoy the experience. I think that's probably the main outlook, is
yeah.
trying to get the attitude right, get in the right headspace, and actually give it a red hot go.
Mm, mm. Do you feel maybe as though like the preparation, the lead up has changed a little bit after our conversations about what I'm doing in comparison to what you're doing?
I don't know what you mean.
Like practice rounds?
Um, yeah, obviously. The thing was, I think up until the field got finalised, I genuinely wasn't expecting to be playing.
Mm, yeah.
Looking back on it, and I think that's why I've changed my mind about when I want to get down there, and
Mm,
how I want to prepare. But I
yeah.
actually, I think I honestly was expecting to get cut out of the field,
Mm, mm,
so I wasn't really thinking about
yeah. Yeah. Just a bit of a backstory there, Pilgrims, because you've come in like,
it.
more than halfway through the story.
Yeah.
So when we we're first talking about what we're going to be doing this weekend, I said to Steve, "Oh, so when are you getting down there? We're gonna." sort of, have a practice round on Friday. And he's like, oh, no, I'm going to just drive down on Saturday morning.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, have you played parks before?
No,
No.
no,
Like, so you're not even going to go and have a practice round on Friday
no,
afternoon.
no.
Like it's New South Wales Championships. It's like, stroke play, you know, championship conditions. No, just going to go play it blind.
Just rock up,
Yeah.
just turn up,
Where,
have a look.
whereas it was always my intention to leave relatively early from the central coast of New South Wales and get there just after lunch and have, because I haven't played parks either.
Hmm.
Uh, but I wanted to know where I was going and have a bit of a look at the golf course before I teed off on Saturday.
Hmm. It's probably wise.
Yeah. So
Um,
I found that sort of difference of attitude to be quite interesting. And I know in our conversation since then, I
hmm.
think I've sort of turned your perspective and attitude a bit, whereas at least you're going to come down and have a few holes with me,
Yeah,
catch up
yeah,
on
yeah.
Friday afternoon.
And I think, to be honest with you, playing nine is strategic about managing my body through the weekend as well,
Yep.
because have had some sort of tightness in the lower back and hip region, which is probably not unusual for a 49/50-year-old person that spends a lot of time at a desk
Yep.
and in a car, and realistically what that's to do with, actually linked randomly enough, Andy Walker, the working theory at the moment, we're talking to the chiro this afternoon, is linked to the hamstring tear from 18 months ago,
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep.
which has further led to, favouring one side over the other to, a small amount. But that's enough for, the glutes to be uneven, which
Mm.
creates some issues in that region. So I have been, getting into the squats um, pretty intensely for the last few weeks, which is
Yep.
definitely helping.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
helping. He's
Yep.
given me a few other
Interestingly, of course,
exercises.
yeah, that's exactly what the therapist that I saw earlier in the year when I had my rib cartilage issue,
Yeah.
they said exactly the same thing, is that now that you've got that injury, there will be scar tissue there, and you'll
Mm,
be prone potentially to a recurrence of that
mm,
injury if you don't manage it
mm.
well and correctly. So, yeah, I've got, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that that's still lingering. If yeah, if you've been having issues in relation to sort of hip and back, because your hammies, I mean, it's all, it's all connected, and your hammies are a big part of being able to support that lower back and hip area.
Yep. And Pilgrims, this is a cracking story, that I just very quickly do need to share where the hamstring injury came about. So, um, young Mr. Hinks was embarking on his athletics career and had won the 100 meters in his school carnival and was doing some training to go to the next level. So, I did a bit of running in my day, the same as everyone else, and thought we'll go down to the Olympic track here in downtown Dubbo and put him through his paces and do a bit of training. And of course, one thing led to another, and that ended up being a family race. Yeah. So we, all of us, the four of us, so wife, daughter, son, myself, you know, marks, set, go, flew out of the blocks. And I was a bit concerned, like thinking, oh, I haven't done a lot of running lately, like there's potential for an injury here. This is probably not the smartest thing in the history of the world. So I was a bit within myself, as we were going through the first half of the race, and kind of sitting comfortably just in third at that point, with the wife and son in front. And I thought, well, I'm not going to allow this to happen. So I thought I'll just throttle it up into third and then fourth gear and come over the
Yeah,
top of these people in the last 30 meters of the race.
yeah,
And we hit
yeah.
about the 75-meter mark, and I felt the left hamstring just separate quite nicely at that point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was very, very unpleasant.
Mm.
But the best thing was, got to the physio a day or so later, and had, physio gave him the assessment. Lovely lady, gave him the full assessment, and said, "Oh, look, it's a grade 2 hamstring tear. Yeah, it's pretty serious. There's quite a lot of bleeding in there. The whole back of the leg went black and all that sort of stuff." She goes, "Look, there was a fun run on that following weekend." She goes, "Look, you're probably not going to be able to run in that." I'm like, "That's a shame. There's no chance that I was going to do that anyway." She goes, "Look, you're probably 4 weeks away from even a light jog, and I'd say, well, I'd say in about 2 months I'll get you back to sprinting." I'm like, full disclosure, I'm never sprinting again. This is a career-ending injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
so
do remember a couple of times where I've attended my son's school, and there's been this sort of a cross country run, but it's sort of not really cross country. It's just over like grasslands and stuff like that. And he was only little. He was only about year one or year two, and it was only probably about maybe 100 meters. This sort of half circular course with a few bends, and they all raced and they had a bit of a laugh and all the rest. And then on the microphone, "Come on, parents,
no,
come and join
such
in." And
about
I,
it.
at that
Don't do
stage,
it.
I just went, "No, exit
No,
stage left." I
yeah,
could
such a
just
bad idea.
see what was going on. And I didn't participate, but I watched a couple of the parents get quite serious
Yeah.
about
Oh yeah,
racing towards the end. There was a bit of competitive spirit there amongst
yeah,
some of the dads, and yeah, there's injury written all over that.
mate, mate, absolutely. So I actually was pretty stupid because I'm still paying the price. So
Oh well, you only live once.
yeah. Anyway, it was fun. Wife won the race, and she claims that regardless, she had all of us covered anyway. So
Yeah, of
anyway,
course. Yeah.
who's to know? I
It's
still
hard to
think.
argue, like when you ended up on the floor with a hamstring injury.
Apparently, I did get over the finish line though. I didn't
Okay,
crumple up in
nice.
a heap. I must
Yeah.
have got just over the finish line and then crumpled up in a heap. Like it's like getting hit by the sniper. It's not
Yeah,
pleasant.
yeah, yeah.
So
Mm.
anyway, but that's the story. That's the background. We live and learn, and yeah, there'll be no running races this weekend in
No,
parks. Andy
no,
Walker,
no. I wouldn't expect so.
no. But there is a golf competition, Pilgrims, and that's what we're here to do. So we're very excited about it, and I think I feel like there's a potential that people can follow scores online as well, which the event will be
Potentially, yeah.
played. The event will be played and won before you hear this episode, but we might, if we can, post those details on the Facebook page for people that want to follow it, if that is in
Mm.
fact possible.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I haven't checked, but I would expect that there probably would be a way that people could follow it.
Yeah, I think there's digital scoring on this one, so
Mm.
that's exciting.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the story, Andy Walker. We've got to get to bed because we've got a lot of preparation going on this week. But have we missed anything? Is there anything else that we needed to
No, I
cover
think
before we
we've
wrap
covered
up for
it.
the week?
We've covered it fairly well. I mean, look, there's as we alluded to a little bit earlier on, there's still a little bit of technology that I think that we need
Mm,
to go through and update. I've certainly implemented a couple of different tools
mm.
into my practice regime in the high performance center. So yeah, they've made a pretty big difference to what I'm doing. So looking forward to sharing that with the Pilgrims. But yeah, I think that can wait till after the country championships.
I think so. So we will be back next week to take you through all of the performances, all the results, all the ins and outs of what happened in the tournament, how many strokes I beat Andy Walker by, all of the above. We'll keep you posted. So with that in mind, Andy Walker, what else have we got to do?
Rock out, Pilgrims.